Hi, my name is Rudolph Stewart. I'm an expat living in Oman. I'm doing some videos about things to do in Oman, and today we're going to talk about one of the beaches of Muscat. I'm starting with Qantab as it's the southernmost beach, and I'm planning to just work my way north through the various beaches that I'm familiar with in Muscat. After doing that, I'll do a few more videos on some beaches near Muscat, so you have some other options if you want to escape the city. Qantab sits in the southernmost portion of Muscat. It's about 45 kilometers from the airport and takes about 35 minutes to get there with no traffic. Most of the tourist hotels sit between the airport and Qantab, so if you decide to go and visit the beach from your hotel, likely you're going to spend less than 35 minutes to get there. The Shangrila is about another 10 minutes further south from Qantab. I'm not positive if that's part of Muscat or not, but if you'd like to try something also in the southern portion of the city, I highly recommend you consider that. The only thing is that you'll have to buy a pass in order to use their beach, but that also allows you to use their pool facilities as well, so that might be something you want to think about. Qantab is a quiet enclave in the southern part of Muscat. In fact, it's so remote I wasn't even sure it was part of the city. I actually had to double check to make sure it wasn't an independent little village. It's quite similar to villages you'll find throughout the country, both along the coast, in the mountains, and inland. So if you're staying in Muscat and not traveling around, I'd say it would probably be a good idea to go and have a look at Qantab just so you can get an idea of sort of what a more traditional area of the country might look like. The beach is relatively short. It's probably about 1 kilometer long. It's a clean beach. I hear that tourists come to this beach, but to be honest, I don't really see that many tourists. I live close to the airport, so I have a beach about 5 minutes away from me, so I normally wouldn't travel 35 minutes to go to a beach when I have a very nice one right around the corner. I've only been there 3 or 4 times, and only on one occasion have I seen what seemed to be a group of tourists going out on a boat. I don't know if they were going fishing for the day or if they were just taking a tour around the bay, but normally I don't see a lot of tourists there. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It means that the beach is not crowded and you've got plenty of room to, make yourself at home. One thing you'll notice at the beach is that there are a lot of fishing boats, so it feels more like a fishing port than a beach where people lay out all day, but from what I can tell, I don't think that's a problem. I think you can just come, find a spot, and just enjoy yourself for the day. Qantab is pretty remote, as I've mentioned a few times, So to me, the best way to get there is by car. I'm not aware of any buses or public transportation that will take you there. So I would say either rent a car if you're comfortable doing that, or just take a taxi. I'm gonna do a video on taxis, so look for that before you jump in a taxi, because there are a few things you want to keep in mind if you're going to be using taxis in Muscat. In terms of places to stay, I'm not aware of any hotels in Qantab. I have seen some Airbnbs listed in Qantab, so if you want to, go get away from it all and stay somewhere quiet for a few days or a week, then I would say have a look on Airbnb and you can probably find some good rentals there. For food, I haven't seen any options at the beach. There are no restaurants or cafes along the beach. There are a few small local shops in town if you wanted to grab something, but typically I would just bring my own food. So if you were coming out for the day, if you're driving, pack a cooler, bring your own food. If you're taking a taxi, then I'd probably just grab a snack and get something cold to drink, and that's probably what I would recommend. I just don't see a lot of good options there. Maybe they're there and I'm not aware of them, but there doesn't seem to be anything nearby the beach. In terms of activities, again, it's pretty quiet. I haven't seen any kind of water sports like jet skis, banana boats, parasailing type of things. As I mentioned before, I think there might be options for maybe fishing boats, boat tours in the area, but honestly, I'm not even sure how you would arrange that because there's no kiosk or sort of like desk or anywhere like that. So I wouldn't turn up and assume you'd be able to do something like that. If you're planning to do some activities there, I would speak to your hotel and get some advice and figure out what you're going to do before you go there, because as you'll see in the video, if you turn up, it's basically sand and fishermen primarily. If you do end up staying in the area, like you get an Airbnb, then other options, like I mentioned, would be the Shangrila about 10 minutes away, which has facilities and you can get a day pass and use the pool, and they've got very nice restaurants and things by the beach. Also, in the opposite direction of the Shangrila, there's also a marina where they have boats that you can go out for, like dolphin watching and snorkeling and scuba and that sort of thing. So you're not completely cut off if you're staying in Qantab. A 10-minute ride in either direction will give you some other activities to do. Now, all important facilities. I did not see any facilities at the beach, so that means there's no bathrooms, there are no tables, there are no picnic tables. In fact, there really aren't any palm trees along the beach, so you're pretty exposed to the elements. If you have very fair skin, if you're worried about sunburn, then you definitely need to bring an umbrella if you're planning to spend any time there. It's, you're really exposed to the elements. The sand in Qantab is pretty soft, pretty clean, no issues with it. The one concern I would mention is if it's very hot out, the sand in Oman and all the beaches and in the desert gets very hot and very uncomfortable to walk on. So I recommend, if you're not here during winter, then you definitely want to bring some sandals, flip-flops, something like that, so that you can cross the hot sand in comfort. beach is only about 1 kilometer long, and it's not too wide. It's about maybe 50 meters wide. You can park very close to the beach, so from your car to the water, you're talking, 60, 70 meters. So that's pretty good, that's pretty convenient. So it's pretty easy to carry things that you may want to take to the beach. You're not having to walk very far, and it's flat, it's very easy.